What's up, guys? I'm back again. This time I'm going to be doing a movie review because I haven't done one in a while. I know on here it's been only like 3 videos, but it's been a few months since I've done one. I ended up over the past 2 days watching a few movies with my cousin because he's never seen them, and I wasn't telling him really anything about it, but we ended up watching X-Men, the first one, the second one, the third one, Origins, and First Class. We didn't end up getting to Days of Future Past because he had to go home, he was tired, blah, blah, blah. So I told him to take it with him to watch it because he's going to go and see Deadpool today, which is Valentine's Day. But I told him, don't go and see it until you watch everything because they make references in the movie to all of the X-Men movies. So I told him to go and watch it. So instead of just talking about one, I'm going to talk about all of them and then tell you which one was my personal favorite. So first one we watched was X-Men. You know, that was pretty much. That was basically taking our favorite comic or TV show back in the day and finally bringing it to the big screen. And everyone was so hyped about it. And, you know, I remember as a kid watching the show that I would always love having certain people's powers. Not Cyclops, because I don't want to go around wearing, like, sunglasses all day. Plus, how did he know to wear red sunglasses? Unless they explain that in X-Men Apocalypse where he has to wear red sunglasses, how does he know? Like, yeah, you shoot red beams out of your eyes, but where does that knowledge come from that you have to wear red sunglasses? Do you think he tried on like a few pairs? Been like, oh shit, I just killed the maid. Like, not these ones. Oh crap, there goes my mom. Alright, bye mom. Like, how does he know to wear red? Anyways, so I think my favorite villain was Mystique because she can transform into literally anybody. She can get not to their standards, but she can get their powers. Like, it was either an X-Men or X2, where she impersonated Wolverine, and she ended up getting his claws, and they worked, but then Wolverine like used his claws and slashed her claws, and they like cut in half, and she screamed because painful. But yeah, so X-Men was good. X2, we ended up finally meeting Nightcrawler, and then, you know, everyone got haircuts except for Wolverine. So the first one, they're all trying to like stop Magneto from being like, oh, humans, no, stop. And then in X2, you've got Magneto, who's kind of being like, humans stop, but at the same time he's like, mutants come. And then there's this other guy, William Stryker, and he was the one who made Wolverine, because Wolverine had like bone claws, and then he injected adamantium into his entire body and made him just all metal, which kind of sucks in a way because Magneto can now control him. In X-Men The Last Stand, which was the third one, Jean Grey was Jean Grey at the end of the second, but she came back in the third. People are vacuuming, and I hate it. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, because I don't know why. At the end of X-Men 2, Jean Grey dies by being hit by an entire like monsoon of water from a dam that they broke. So in X-Men Last Stand, she comes back as the Phoenix. People are disturbing me. Alright. I know that. Can you stop? I know in, I think it was the comic, and I know in the cartoon, she was always the Phoenix. It wasn't just Jean Grey and then Phoenix. Phoenix was never a villain. she had the choice, kind of, to go like back and forth. I could be getting this completely wrong, but to my understanding, from what I've heard, is that if she needed more power, she would become the Phoenix to get it, and then kind of go back to Jean Grey, but she was always in control of her powers. And then XMen Origins. They decided to make Sabretooth from the first one into this guy here, who looked nothing like him. Then they decided to add in Gambit, who was awesome. And then they brought Ryan Reynolds, be Wade Wilson. So he started off as Wade, as a mercenary, you know, waving around his little swords and everything, just deflecting bullets, being a smartass as he always is, and how he's supposed to be. And then he just goes missing. No one knows where he is. There's a reference made that he's becoming Deadpool. Camera literally just keeps shutting off. It records for a minute and then just stops. It's like, no, you're done recording. Go home. It's like, anyways, so they decide to take him, we later find out, and start putting in 10 mutant powers into him to become the Deadpool. They sew his mouth shut and give him like weird sword things in his wrists. He can regenerate, he can shoot lasers out of his eyes. That's not who Deadpool is. Alright. And so, finally, after getting through that torturous thing... Oh, actually, before I end, the last thing with this. They decided to make Wolverine and Sabretooth brothers. How dumb is that? That's stupid. I don't think they were ever brothers. If they were, then I stand corrected. Garbage. Anyways, then we watched X-Men First Class. Now, I like this. There's one thing that irritated me, I thought, was the way that James McAvoy was talking, which he fixes in Days of Future Past. Because he said that when he did this movie, he was trying to recreate Patrick Stewart's accent. He ended up changing that and just doing his own kind of British thing. Anyways, this shows how, in a way, they've started to already retcon the entire series. The only two that still stand in the series is X-Men 1 and 2. X-Men The Last Stand is no longer part of the series at all. It is not canon to the series. It was until they started making these ones. But at the end of this movie, this is where you click away if you haven't seen it and you're planning to see it, blah blah blah. At the end of this movie, Professor X gets destroyed by Jean Grey, aka Phoenix, who's becoming back. Cyclops dies because of Jean Grey. Rogue decides to take the cure that they found because of a child named Leech who can take away the powers of people. She decides to take this cure and become human, just so she can be with Bobby, aka Iceman, because she can't touch people without stealing their powers and making them almost die. Magneto loses his powers until the very end. It's like, oh, let's see if I can move a chess piece, and then he does, and then it ends. It's like, okay. And Jean Grey dies because Wolverine sticks his claws into her entire nest. So yeah, so everyone died, and then they decide, hey, let's make a Wolverine origin movie because Wolverine is great and fantastic and blah blah blah. It's like, first off, it's really not. Okay, there are many other X-Men who are better than Wolverine. Just because he's supposed to be the main focus on the entire comics, he is not the best. Sorry, he's not. So that happened, and then, so in the beginning of The Last Stand, it shows Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen walking to Jean Grey's house as a child. But in X-Men First Class, James McAvoy, who's clearly much younger than Patrick Stewart, gets a bullet to his back, therefore becoming paralyzed, so he can't walk. So they already just got rid of that movie right from the very beginning. So he gets crippled way back before he even meets Jean Grey. So he should have been in a wheelchair in that movie, but they didn't. And then in Days of Future Past, Wolverine has to go back to the past to try and stop all the Sentinels from happening and stop Mystique from dying, and I don't know, just like a bunch of weird stuff. I haven't seen it in a while, so I could be getting this very wrong. But I know he goes back in time to stop the Sentinels with the X-Men from the past. But I think I heard that it wasn't actually supposed to be him that's supposed to go back. I think it was supposed to be, I don't know. I can't remember who it was supposed to be. But it wasn't supposed to be Wolverine that goes back in time. It was supposed to be another X-Men. And yeah, so he ends up succeeding in his mission, saving everybody because the Sentinels were taking over the world. So you had Storm come back, you had Ian McKellen come back, even though he died in The Last Stand. But then they made the Wolverine movie, The Wolverine, which was, I want to say, better than Origins, but still really crappy. Because then he comes in at the end and he's like, oh, I thought you were dead. He's like, well, I have more powers than that, or something stupid. Like, wow. Right then they started retconning it too. In a shitty movie, they start retconning a shitty movie. Okay, so they brought him back. They're working with Magneto now. Everyone's all like on the same side. So Logan, Wolverine, decides to go back in time, because apparently he's the only one that can survive it, because he can regenerate. He helps everyone back in the past stop all the Sentinels from happening, and when he comes back to the future, he ends up being back in Professor X's school, and he sees Rogue, think holding hands with Bobby, but she has her powers. She has her powers back. You saw Colossus and Kitty, who's Shadowcat, together. You saw Hank McCoy, aka Beast, walking by, and then he goes into the professor's office, and Scott and Jean Grey are there. So Cyclops and Jean Grey, because they were always a thing in the other movies, but now they're back, and Wolverine's like, but you, both of you died. How are you here? And they're like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, okay, interesting. Done. Let's deal with it. So everything just got retconned. Everything was fixed. And yeah. So my favorite one was probably Days of Future Past, because it was awesome and there was so much happening and I loved every little single piece of it. That is my movie review. X-Men 1, good. X-Men 2, a little better. X-Men 3, if they didn't kill everyone, probably pretty good movie. Origins, trash. The First Class, great. Wolverine, go away. And Days of Future Past, amazing. Yeah, so if you like this video, give it a like. Make sure you subscribe to my channel right here. And if you want to check out my video that I did last week, you can go here. I was playing Happy Wheels. So if you want to see me playing Happy Wheels, click there. And make sure to check out all my other videos. Share this with your friends, get them to watch, and have them share it with their friends. Yeah, so like, subscribe, share, watch other videos. I'll see you next week. Bye, y'all! I said quit.